can we welcome you?
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Sarah. And good to be with you this morning. I'm just in awe of being in this room with this group of chaplains. You've all served our country. In the Sons of the American Legion, we honor the service of our father or grandfather in the military. My dad was a World War II veteran. He was in uniform in 1939, and he led a lot of young soldiers into Italy, to the Apennines Mountains. And now he'd want me to say thank you for your service to our country, for all that you do. How many of you have served overseas, if I could just ask a show of hands? Almost everyone in the room. Again, thank you for your service, everything that you do for our military members and our veterans. It's just so important. Yeah, thank you. We've been working on this for about 10 years now, really, since we had this moment when I'm looking at the World War II memorial at Providence College, about 70 names on it, and we wrote them down, we put them into Google, and 3 turned out to be chaplains, 2 lost in World War II, and then one, Father Leo Craig, was lost in Korea. And the 2 chaplains from Providence College were noted on the Archdiocese of Providence website as being honored on the Catholic Memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. So when we were at a Sons of the American Legion meeting in Washington and in Arlington, a couple of us decided to go to Chaplains Hill, find it in Section 2, and find the Catholic Memorial, and we found the names of the 3 Providence alumni there. And then we said, because so many groups in the American Legion and other veterans groups have commemorated the anniversary of the loss of the Dorchester on War Chaplain Sunday, the first Sunday in February, the story has become so iconic and well known. We knew the names, and we decided to look for the 4 names of the 4 chaplains on the monuments. We found the Catholic priests, the 2 ministers, but there was no place for a rabbi to be honored on Chaplains Hill. So a little time went by, but we called the Jewish war veterans in Washington and mentioned what we had observed. And I'll never forget their response. The response was, "Oh, really?" And they were a little surprised, but they were glad to hear about this monument that needed updating, or this place. And I was introduced to Admiral Robinson, and we went on a mission. We found a gentleman named Saul Moglin, who was so important to this project. Saul developed and built the Brooklyn Wall of Remembrance in Coney Island at the baseball park, which I highly encourage you to go visit, which has the photos on granite of 400 first responders lost on 9/11. That he put so much time and energy and promoting the mission of that monument. So with a lot of work and a design and an act of Congress, a joint resolution of Congress. Well, actually, it was a resolution from the House and a bill from the Senate. We actually got it approved. And we had a beautiful dedication in 2011, about 1,000 people there at the Memorial Amphitheater. And most importantly, we had about 50 family members of the Jewish chaplains who were honored on hand, and they were so appreciative of the effort that had been made to honor their family member at Arlington, and so the effort was so worthwhile. A little time went by, and we decided the next key project was updating the Protestant monument, which only included chaplains lost through World War II. And it's a tragic list of World War II, over 100 names there. And we just did some research, and we got some help from the Air Force Chief of Chaplains office. They really reacted very enthusiastically to research names. And we got help from the Army Chaplain School in South Carolina, and then also Chaplain Randy Cash of the Navy, who's a former National Chaplain of the American Legion. And we came up with a list. One of the things that you learn, we studied the Korean War, and the Army, as you know, keeps very extensive biographical records of the conflicts that soldiers served and fought through. And it was a very tragic story at the beginning of the Korean War. As you know, the U.S. forces were unprepared. They came from Japan, not thinking they were going to get caught in a terrible conflict. And the casualties were high. And the chaplains were immediately taking care of their military members, their soldiers, and military there. The enemy forces overran several of the base camps where chaplains were tending to injured. And sadly, every one of those camps were either killed or taken prisoner in a very tragic moment of American history. And 8 chaplains were lost and 2 remain missing in action that were unnamed at Arlington. 4 actually missing in action, 2 Catholic and 2 Protestant. And those being Kenneth Islip and Wayne Verdue. And whenever I get a little tired on this, I always think of them, what they went through, tending to their soldiers, and being taken prisoner and doing everything they could in those prisoner of war camps for as long as they could. And I think their names aren't on this monument in Arlington. It was just, to me, unacceptable. So we've been working really about 3 years now. We have a confirmed list. We had the plaque actually almost ready to be produced last summer, and then we got a requirement from Arlington for DDT 242 documents for the chaplains, DD 214s. And so we're working with Arlington officials now about how to satisfy that requirement, getting the retirement papers for people going back to the soldiers going back to the Korean War and even Vietnam is not easy because of losses of records at the National Archives. So we're working on that. We will get it done. And we were on a mission, and we appreciate the support of all you folks in getting this done. We may have to go to Congress, but we'll do whatever's necessary to get this project completed, and hopefully completed this year, hopefully earlier this year than later. We expect we'll have another nice dedication ceremony and invite a lot of the Vietnam and Korean War and some of the recent veterans organizations to participate in that, as we have 25 names from the Korean War, from Vietnam, from the Cold War, and also from post 9/11 conflicts to recognize. So I think it's going to be a very meaningful day when we're able to unveil that and then have a ceremony like what we did on 2011 in the Memorial Amphitheater. The third major project, which is maybe going to be half the work on this whole effort, is to build a pathway to Chaplains Hill, which is at 25 feet above Grant Drive. And right now, if you're going out there like today, it's very hard to walk up that hill. Forget it if it's snowy in the wintertime. And we think that we can make this into a national memorial destination by building a pathway up the hill. It would start at Grant Drive, go up along the walkway, and then curve in front of a big tree, and then finish with a small plaza in front, which would be accessible for ceremonies. Because like the Army Chaplains Corps goes out there in the summer for their commemoration, and they do, there's always a speaker. So now we could have a speaker's platform set up in front of the monuments. We think this will provide access to, as I always say, groups from scouts to honor flights to visit this spot and honor the service of chaplains throughout American history. We kind of start at the World War I, and the future we may look at prior to that. We've been dealing with kind of the guidance Arlington has on land use and putting up, there's a lot of restrictions on putting up monuments that are not covering a gravesite that we're working on, but we believe Arlington is a national shrine. It's the most sacred place in America. We think it's a place to honor chaplains, and we didn't really come up with the idea, as Jack Lee said. We're kind of following up on the work of a prior generation, and hopefully there'll be a generation after us that takes care of this some number of years down the road when need be. We're also looking at the concept, we were talking about at breakfast this morning about going forward plaque where future casualties, we hope there aren't any, but we know what can happen in serving the military, that it would be that a future honorees at Chaplains School would be on an interfaith plaque. And that may be after post 9/11, but we think going forward we should have it all on one plaque based on all faith groups that are serving the Chaplains Corps of the U.S. military. So we're working on that. It's a big project. We have a design completed by Bruno Carvajal, who's a Washington architect who's done work on the Tomb of the Unknowns and some of the refurbishment there. The walkway would be ADA compliant, which means it basically has to be 10 feet long for every foot of elevation, which means it's might be as much as a 200-foot walkway. And so we're in this for the long haul. We're going to get it done. It's going to probably take another act of Congress. We think it'll be very popular. There'll be a lot of support politically for this. So we're going to do whatever needs to be done, but we need your help. We need your help as individuals. We need your help as representing the faith groups that you are in. I'm Catholic. I don't know a lot about some of the other faith groups, and I'm learning, which is one of the great joys of being in this project. I'm learning about a lot of other people's faith and traditions, and that's what this project is about, is learning and appreciation of others. So I just want to say, I guess we might take a question or two. Is there a question? Well, the one other thing we're looking at it, as I mentioned, Randy Cash is on our committee, who was a captain in the Navy and a former national chaplain of the American Legion. We proposed this to the American Legion. It's gone through 2 national meetings as being one of the Legion's 100th anniversary projects. Legion is going to be commemorating its 100th anniversary this upcoming year, as the Legion was founded in 1918, right at the end of World War I. And so we're proposing this as being an American Legion 100th anniversary. The American Legion has a history of providing improvements and needed resources to Arlington National Cemetery. Our Jewish Chaplains project was, I think, the 6th major project that different groups in the American Legion have provided to Arlington over 100 years. So again, we appreciate your support on the project. It's going to take a while. We're hoping to get the Protestant Chaplains Monument updated this year and dedicated. I forgot to mention that we received a donation from the Dignity Memorial Company, who helped us out with the Jewish Chaplains Project. They also have donated a $30,000 granite monument to be used to hold the bronze plaque. And so we appreciate the Dignity Memorial Company. It's sort of interesting, as Jack mentioned, that one of the sources of resources has been a foundation we set up to honor my aunt, who was a U.S. Navy chaplain from 1943 to 1970, a Catholic lady. And in her retirement, she married a fellow named Saul Ollinger, who was a Jewish soldier from World War I. So the Protestant monument is being backed by a Catholic and a Jewish fellow, which is about as interfaith as we can be. But it's all about being a veterans project. And that's how I kind of explain it to people. This is about serving veterans, honoring veterans, and it's been a great opportunity. So anyway, again, any questions? I'll be around for a little bit today. I'm up in White Plains, New York, and so I have a lot of fun. I do a radio show covering the military and veterans about 10 years, and we started covering Army football this past year, actually about 9 years ago. And so we've had a good year. And the football coach at West Point, Jeff Munkin, finishes every speaking appearance, and I think everybody at West Point says, has 2 immortal words that they say every day, and that's beat Navy. Thank you.
Previously, we've given guest presenters, don't go away, man, Starbucks coffee cards for $25 because of federal ethics limits on the gift. This year, we're giving something to put the Starbucks coffee in. And all our presenters are gonna get these mugs. And just for the ethical point, let me say that I'm the son of the Scotch-Irish, and I got this at 30% discount. So underneath the $25 limit. But Ken, it's just a small measure and token of our esteem, not only for you, for the great work you've been doing, and for the vast people who are partnering with you, as well as us, to bring this to fruition and fulfillment. So we salute you, and we're thankful and grateful for your father's service as well. So,
absolutely.